How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully everyone is having a lovely day. I know we got to say this very, very quietly because we don't want anybody to hear about it. But Lou Anarumo's a potential head coaching candidate in places, right? We haven't heard much really at all about this guy having interviews or talking with other teams. The team's showing a lot of interest in Lou Anarumo so far. And it's been kind of surprising. You know, we talk about this guy's resume, but first let's talk about why it's possible we haven't really heard anything. We see it's become the norm in today's NFL college where coaches go and talk to other teams during the season still, which personally I've never been a big fan of. I think it's a selfish thing to do. It feels like you're leaving, you're quitting on your team kind of thing before the season's even over. Like if you're already talking to other teams and you're supposed to be focused on this team and focused on winning games, and you're already walking out the door thinking about your other options. Like for me personally, I always felt that left a bad taste in the locker room, in your mouth, whatever. So there is always the possibility that, well, actually, you know, it's funny that it is the standard when you really think about it. Could you imagine Jesse Bates is on a franchise tag right now and he was just publicly just got done with an interview talking about, you know, the culture. He was on Pat McAfee show talking about the culture, talking about how good of a job Lou does of making everybody feel like equals and creating that family culture in the locker room. But could you imagine if a guy like Jesse Bates was talking to the San Francisco 49ers right now or the New York Giants, like, oh, we're in the playoffs, but Jesse Bates is currently having contract talks with the Giants, or you know what I mean? I don't know if you're you're probably not even allowed to do that in the NFL as a player, but it's the point. Could you imagine the message that sends to the locker room? Like, this guy's trying to walk out the door. You don't even care about us kind of thing. So that's personally why I've never been a big fan of it. You know, it's a business, I guess, at the end of the day or whatever. But, you know, when you're trying to unify a team to win games, I feel like you should all be on the same page, not trying to walk out the door. Nonetheless, I give Lou Anarumo a lot of credit. I think there's a very good chance teams have tried reaching out to him. And I think he's pretty much slammed the door shut if we haven't heard any rumors or anything come out about it where he's like, hey, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm waiting till the season's over. I'm focused on now. I'm focused on this team. We're worried about winning. And, you know, it goes back to the culture of this team. We talked about how this it's one very cohesive bunch. They're a tight bunch. There's no player that feels like they're better than the rest. There ain't really any selfishness. Again, it's a very family-oriented type of bunch, if you will, where they feel like they're all one, playing for the same goal, playing as a team. And that comes from the top down. So it would not come to a surprise to me at all if there's guys like Lou Anarumo that, you know, practice what you preach, and he's not really going out there and entertaining these offers. Besides that, though, it's interesting. I think we look at it today's NFL, it's a very offensive-driven league, so naturally teams want to have them offensive-minded coaches. You won't have you lose 56. You won't have a younger coach. You know, that's just the way things are trending. Offense, you want to have a younger coach, a younger mind that can potentially bring you places for a longer period of time. And that's a couple things that get in the way. Then you look at, really, if you are going to play the defensive coordinator game, if you're like, we want a defensive-minded coach, that's where we want to be. That's where we expect this team to be. There's some really good candidates out there. You got DeMeco in San Francisco. You got Frazier with the Bills. You got Gannon with the Eagles. It's just... there's a lot of really good coaches out there that are getting all the spotlight right now. And it's the Bengals, you know, it's the Bengals. They don't get the spotlight other teams do. They don't get the notoriety other teams do. If they're not tearing teams apart defensively, you don't really hear about it as much. So it's possible he flies under the radar, which would be good. Could be great for the Bengals. Great. If this guy can get a head coaching job, I can understand why you want to go after. But hey, great news for us Bengals fans. He can stay around because I think this guy is a stud of a defensive coordinator. If you just look, again, sure, you can look on paper. Bengals 16th ranked defense when it comes to yards allowed this season. It's like, okay, middle of the pack. Nothing flashy about that. You know, if he would have said top 5, 2-3 years in a row, people would start looking at him differently probably. They were the 6th ranked team when it comes to scoring defense, though, allowing the 6th fewest points amongst all defenses in the league this season. And I think what's more important, it's crazy when you look at it, when this Bengals defense, they completely tore this defense apart. It was Jesse Bates and whatever. Pretty much everybody else is disposable and out the door. And to think they completely reconstructed this defense, built it from the ground up from a 2-14 team that couldn't stop anything, into this defense that is playing championship caliber ball, you have to give a lot of credit to this coaching staff. You just break down this roster. You don't want to... I don't want to talk bad about any players in the Bengals, but let's call it what it is. Chido Awuzie was walking out of Dallas. A lot of Cowboys fans are like, this guy ain't any good. He was their number 2, number 3 CB on this day. It's like the Bengals plucked away a top corner. Eli Apple. This guy was struggling to find a job anywhere. He's lucky he resurrected his career in Cincinnati. He's lucky he's even playing football right now if it wasn't for Lou taking a chance coaching this guy up. And he give him full credit, takes full advantage of that opportunity. BJ Hill. Remember the Billy Price and BJ Hill trade? I was like, the Bengals are just getting rid of Billy Price to get something. They want to get something instead of nothing for this guy. The Giants felt the same exact way. Like, what are we gonna do with BJ Hill? We can't use him. Let's take a chance in this offensive lineman. It wasn't like this high, prestige trade where it's like, these 2 big players. Now there was 2 teams just getting rid of players they didn't want anymore. And you look at the impact players like that have had on this Cincinnati Bengals team since coming over. Again, you got to give them credit for stepping up, playing to the best of their abilities. But at the same time, you look at Lou and you look and say, well, look, we brought these players in. He knew they'd fit well in his system. He knew he could coach them up to where he needed them to be. And you look now, it's like the playoffs right now. Eli Apple's the Bengals' number 1 CB. How things have changed. And of things that this guy has done with the talent he has on the field. Again, we're not trying to knock on the Bengals, but this team don't have a Micah Parsons. They don't have a Nick Bosa or a Von Miller or a TJ Watt. It doesn't have this absolutely this game wrecker on defense that alone can make a defensive coordinator's job a heck of a lot easier. I know Hendrickson does a good job getting the football, but it just, you get what I'm saying here. And to think this guy took all these players, put them together, and turned it into a cohesive bunch that makes the big stops when they need to, makes the turnovers when they need to, locks it down in the red zone. And again, that's important in today's NFL. If you're going to play a game like the Bills or the Chiefs, they're going to go up and down the field. But if you can lock things down in the red zone, force them field goals, put your team in a position to win games, you're doing something right. I've been more than impressed with how Lou Anarumo has coached this team. And if you're Lou, I think that's got to be something you're really considering if you're getting these coaching offers too, is how big's the window. Like, I don't think you'd want to go to Denver because they got Russell Wilson in that contract. They want results right now. But if there's a team that says, hey, we're patient, we'll give you 3 years to put together your team, because that's what I think it needs. Just like the Bengals were patient with Zach Taylor, you needed 3 years to let this all come together. He needs that situation. I think if he's interviewing, he need to understand that. And he's a smart coach, and it's something he's probably considering. It's like, I don't want to be on this team where I need to perform in 1 year, because it's just not going to happen. I don't think. I think this is a guy that he needs to get his players to believe in his system. He needs to get those players that play well in his system, and then when he does, he's going to flourish. Do a really good job coaching. But again, more offensive-minded NFL this year. Will he get an opportunity? It's hard telling. I think he's going to hear some calls. I don't know how serious the calls will be, because again, I don't see where these other coaches go. If they stay with their teams, they get signed. What opportunities are left, especially after the Super Bowl, if he waits until after that, because it'll be the last time the Bengals plays a Super Bowl this year. So after that, there might be less openings for him as well. But we'll see. I think he's more than deserving of a coaching job somewhere. But man, would it be nice to see him stay in Cincinnati. I love you guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.